Sanjay Jain. He comes with nearly 3 decades of experience. He has served as CEO and CFO at some of the India's most influential retail, manufacturing, media and global businesses. If we can put our hands together to welcome him.
I was asked to share with all of you that what does a CEO do for his living? So it kind of left me a little reflecting, and okay, I thought, Sanjay Jain, let's make an attempt to try and put the 30 years learning into a 45 minutes capsule and see if there is something that I can share, and in return I can learn from all of you as well. So let's talk about a bit of theory. I wish when somebody says that, what does a CEO actually do? One would talk about, CEO make decision, CEO decides a strategy, CEO allocate capital, CEO focuses on growth. Sounds like coming from a textbook. I wish if it was that easy. Very humbly, I would say any graduate passing out of MBA school would actually say, I am now the CEO of a company, I'm fit for that. The job of a CEO evolves almost on a daily basis. What may have worked yesterday may not work today, and actually may not work tomorrow as well. And it is stupid to run your company, to run your business with yesterday's mindset. It actually may not work. You have to keep reinventing yourself. You have to decide to be in the front seat. You have to decide to be in the back seat. But you always have to keep changing. And let me remind you, as you do this, you actually survive quarter by quarter. You never forget that you are CEO of a listed company. There are analysts who are following your stock. So if one quarter goes back, they hammer your stock down, and the board start feeling, is this Sanjay the right CEO that we have hired? So that's something that always goes on. So let's try and talk about this 2-slide theory with some hard facts. Let's talk about the company that I work for. Sorry, pardon me for this bit of logistics. Yeah. So PDS, very simply explaining, many of you would know that they are garment manufacturers. You manufacture garment and you export garments. That's a very well-known business to all of you. PDS is actually the Swiggy or Zomato of this world. It says, sir, in Primark, which is my customer, you need garments? I need not manufacture it. You need food? Zomato says, I need not cook in my own restaurant. I have 600 partner factories across the world who would actually do this for you. I would actually build a layer on top of that. So very simplistically, it's a global fashion supply chain infrastructure company. To any retailers, to your needs to source garments, to source footwear, to source general merchandise, I'm there for you. That's the business. And to do this business, it's an Indian multinational run out of Mumbai, and about 12,000 people who work in the company. As Muskan was saying, about 22 countries, 90 plus offices, and that's who we all are. But that sounded very simple, na? Sanjay, what's the great thing in that? It's a garment supply chain company. There are some unique things about this company. In a normal company, you have a promoter who owns the company majority stake. Then you have, if you're a listed company, then you have public market shareholders. And then you have a professional CEO, somebody like me, and you would have a board of directors and employees. That's a classical company all of us are aware of. In this company, PDS, I have 41 owners. One owner who has the single largest stake in the company, and everybody who is a sales head or an operations head is actually an owner of the company as well. We are a federation of entrepreneurs. If ma'am tomorrow says, Sanjay, I bring in an expertise into this woven, garment, but your company, would you be able to afford my salary? And secondly, I want to be an entrepreneur. I says, ma'am, please come now, let's work together. We will have a company, you own 25%, I will own 75%, I will work together. So you have 40 such entrepreneurs, but somebody is a Chinese, somebody is a German, somebody is a Bangladeshi Muslim, somebody is a Turkish guy, somebody is an American. So you actually deal with 40 cultures. So every day when I wake up, depending on which side of the bed my entrepreneur partner has actually woken up, decides. So we're actually a very unique company, and in fact, there is a Harvard case study on us if you happen to browse through it because of the unique structure that we all have. But then, if you are a professional CEO who is actually entrusted to bring in processes, systems, profits, how do you work that you don't actually kill the entrepreneurship? These 40 guys are actually wanting to run their own ship. I mean, they know there is a PDS that owns 75% stake in my business. There is Alex Fang, my partner in Shanghai, Chinese guy. Sanjay, I know you guys own 75, but I run my business. So how do you actually, put them together in a manner that you create value, at the same time you don't compromise your freedom to work? So let's try and see that, okay, if that was a theory, this was a case study, what's the practical is looking like. When I took my role, it's almost 6 years, I couldn't have asked for a better time. COVID. I signed up in 2020. Some of you may recall March, April 2020 newspaper headlines. Which sector was the worst hit sector because of COVID? Retail sector. Within retail, what was the most hit line of activity? Fashion. And that is what we were doing at PDS. Catering to retail customers and doing fashion. So I couldn't have asked for a better time to actually join. And when you actually roll up your sleeves to join, you find there is already a promoter who's a vice chairman, who's actively involved. Fine, you can deal with one promoter. You actually find there are 40 plus more promoters. Oh, what is this guy going to do who's come from outside? And then you actually decide that, Sanjay Jain, you have to change the E in your CEO definition. Because many a times it is called as you are actually the chief executive officer, but you decide that I will be an enabler. I need to be seen adding value to them. So when I said in the beginning, a CEO need to keep changing the approach here was, you don't need to be in the driving seat. Take a back seat. There are 41 drivers who are already driving it. You just enable them. And how do you enable them? You tell them, guys, my biggest cost is 500 crores employee cost. I don't think I can afford to pay it because my top line has dried. The retail sales have gone. The fashion sales have taken a beating. So therefore I have to cut employee cost. And I have to cut it by 1/3. But then you may lose the trust of your employees. And at that moment of time, there was something called a Zoom. The Zoom call that started around the same time. You actually hold a Zoom call of all employees. You tell them, guys, I have intent, but I may not have money because of the situation I'm facing. We will all take a cut, including me first, 1/3 of our salary. We will give ourselves 9 months to fix everything. And post 9 months, if we fix everything, everybody will get the 1/3 back. And everybody actually got the 1/3 back. So therefore, you actually have to be an enabler, make people think that, we will do it. Sorry, this is gone. That's there. Then, hello. I think there's some problem. Okay. That gives you some breathing space. I hope it's going fine with all of you. Yeah, okay. So this was about cutting cost. Now, cost alone does not make your company survive. So what do? आप लोग को याद है उस समय क्या चीज सबसे ज़्यादा बिकती थी 2020-21 में? Masks. So we decided to do the business of masks. We already had a global supply chain. We already had a presence in Shanghai in China. We already had a presence in Vietnam. We decided to import masks from the countries where it was made at a lower cost and export into UK and Europe and US. We sold off $100 million of masks and we made $10 million of profit on that. PDS on the whole makes about 2% net profit. On masks, we made 10% net profit. So therefore, as a CEO, you didn't have to really come and say, I have arrived in life, I'm the CEO of the company, I'm in the driving seat. These 41 guys are driving, you just enable them with data, let cut cost. You just make them think on a new line of activity that leads to the masks. And then, while this was survival, so we actually survived 2021, and HSBC, which is our biggest banker, they invited us, me and Palak Seth, the founder, to give a lecture on how to manage your risk in COVID times, because almost all companies asked for a deferment of their bank dues because of COVID. We didn't even ask for a single day deferment. We paid all the dues in time because we decided to cut costs, because we decided to do an alternate revenue stream. But that was survival. But then you are here for long. So what do you do then? So I would say there are three things that I decided to do. Stay with me on this slide. You may find it a little boring, but it actually paid off after 4 years to me. This was focused on building capabilities. PDS was known to be a company run and managed by promoters. And you have to create a belief of institutions into it. You have to create a belief that PDS is a bankable company. It is a credit-worthy company. So what do? You actually reach out in your network. You go to Trilegal managing partner Nishan Parekh. You explain the company to him. You convince him to come on the board. Now you have India's fastest growing law firm, now number one spot company, managing partner on your board. You go to Apollo Private Equity. You ask the ex-CEO Path, why don't you please consider coming on my board? And then he comes on your board as well. You have a blue-blooded, top-notch private equity company CEO on your board as well. So you actually got two people. But Sanjay Jain, what are you doing? These are all Indians. Pardon me for saying this, because you're actually running a company with 40 nationalities. So you actually got to demonstrate to your employees that you actually are also having representation from Europe and UK and US. So the journey kept on. I invited a lady, she was a COO of Pengaya, ethnic brand. She came on board as well. There's a lady in New York, she came on board as well. So we made a strong board of directors. Market was watching. What is this company PDS who's attracting all such reputed board of directors? Then I had to take some measures, take some actions. You can't do this alone. You have to build a team for it. And for that, I reached out to a gentleman in IBM. I motivated him to join as head of my IT and digital strategy. I reached out to somebody in HSBC, 2-3 dinners. He decided to switch as head of my HR. I decided to motivate a guy from a leading insurance company to join me as a CFO as well. So I was building my team slowly. Trust me, it will pay off after 4 years. I'll come to that. I was building my team. Institutional investors, the mutual funds, the private equities, PDS, some company that we have heard of. I used to go there, knock. I'm here for a cup of tea. I thought I'll just share with you what are we doing at PDS. Pick your perspective. What do you think? Do you think I'm doing the right thing? Do you think there's something I can do better? I'm talking to a fund manager who does not have got anything to do with PDS. I'm just requesting engaging into a coffee, and I tell him this is what I'm doing. I go back again after 6 months. I make a note in my diary. I will go to him after 6 months. I met you 6 months back. I shared with you. I thought I'll give you an update on where are we landing. And am I doing the right thing? Do you think I'm on track? I again went back after 6 months. I kept going after 6 months. That guy is watching. Somebody is coming to me, somebody is telling me I'm trying to do this, etc. And then one fine day, over a drink, CIO of a leading fund told me, Sanjay, market gives you 1,000 days. 1,000 days means in 1 year there are 365. So market watches you for 3 years. If you're consistently walking your talk for 3 years, they will reward you. So we'll come back to what happened at the end of those 3 years or something. So this was something that I was doing. Nobody was really bothered that why the hell is this guy doing something. But you have to, as a CEO, have an eye on the ball. One day it will pay off. Then, a lot of jargon there called value creation, etc. What did I simply do? There was a manufacturing business of PDS. I told you we are a Swiggy, we deal with 600 partner factories, but the retailer used to ask, what is your skin in the game? How do I trust you? So we had 2 factories in Bangladesh and we had 1 factory in Sri Lanka. That was not our business. Running restaurants, we don't know. Managing supply chain from a restaurant, we knew. We were incurring 104 crore losses in 2021. So as a CEO, my humble learning that I want to share with you, you have 41 people doing the job that is happening very well. You decide to do the shitty job. This is, I will fix it. And then you walk up to your wife and says, Meeti, for 1 year, you have to allow me all Sundays to work from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m., 4 hours. Why a Sunday? Why can't you do it on a Saturday or a Friday? I said, see, I know my offices are closed on Saturday, Sunday. My factories are working on Sunday. And I want them to know that I'm in business. They should know that I'm sitting there on a Zoom call with them on a Sunday morning. I mean business. I need a daily production. I need to know what is happening every week. I need to know what is happening every 15 days. I chopped off the 2 CEOs. The 2 CEOs of the 2 factories in Bangladesh, they were chopped off because they were the bottlenecks. So as a CEO, you need to take a tough calls. In 4 years, that 104 crore loss is 40 crore profit. So therefore, when you have 41 people running the show, they are watching. Hey, Sanjay, kya kar raha hai yaar? Kahan loss making dhande mein ghus raha hai? And when they see it turned around to a 40 crore profit, you actually earn your respect. You didn't have to be in a driving seat. You had to take a back seat. But therefore, if you want to be a CEO, if you want to lead a company, please look out for difficult jobs. There are a lot of people who are there to do the easy jobs, And then there was a guest house we were having in London. I convinced the promoters to sell it off. There was a warehouse I was having in London. Why do I need to own a warehouse? I can always take it on a bhada. So we actually sold off the warehouse. We actually sold off the guest house. Mind you, those people to whom I used to go every 6 months, I used to tell them that I'm thinking of turning on the manufacturing. I'm thinking of selling off the non-core assets. Do you think I'm doing the right thing? Then I go to them after 6 months. Sir, wo maine bech diya guest house. After 6 months, sir, wo maine bech diya warehouse. So you kept selling the assets that were not core to your business. What happened? The debt of the company came down by half. And the debt equity of the company improved to 0.1. So therefore, you have to bring the C-suite executive, which I was telling you in the previous slide. You also have to roll up your sleeves and look for the dirty jobs and actually try and fix them as well. But while you do this, you can't lose sight of growth. That is what you are here for. So therefore, in touch with the retail customers, we started new line of activities. We were earlier sourcing garments for them in an activity called design-led sourcing. Maybe over the break, I will explain to you more about what is sourcing as a service, what is brand management. But we kept adding new line of activities. We had a wallet share with the customer. Many of you may have shopped at Primark store in London or somewhere else. I have a 5% wallet share of Primark. Means whatever garments you see on the shelf of a Primark store, 5% actually come from PDS. So there was a wallet share. Why do I need to restrict to only selling garments? We decided to sell beauty. We decided to sell footwear. So larger share of wallet, more and more new line of services. And I'm very humbled to tell you, PDS is the second largest company in the world in its space of global fashion supply chain. The number 1 is Lian Feng and number 2 is PDS now. They are 6 billion. I'm $2.7 billion as the clock is ticking. We are catching up. I wish I survive for a few more years. CEO, as I said, survive quarter by quarter. I wish I survive few more quarters, but we are closing the gap. So therefore, you are turning around businesses. You were kind of selling non-core assets, but not losing sight of growth as well. I think In all of this, friends, one thing that to me as a softer aspect, which was the most important thing, is the EQ of the job. It's not the intelligence. You actually, in a 12,000 people company, when you make a pyramid, when you have leaders, people who make it to the top are actually super specialists. They have a super IQ. You really don't need to demonstrate that you have a fantastic IQ to all these guys. All you need is an EQ. How do you make the most of the people who are there in the company? So here one humble learning is, as a chief executive officer, you really don't need to make yourself shine. Make your people shine. Trust me, make all your 40 people who are the partners, make your corporate team shine. Let the best come out of them. And as they shine, they automatically make you shine. So therefore, you are always there in the front. She introduced me, Muskan introduced me as the CEO of the company. So that's good enough. Now, why do you need to say, I will decide everything? There are 41 people, they will decide, they will run the show, etc. And here, I'll pick on one or two things. What do you mean by emotional quotient? One, I said that you need to be, kind of making sure that people around you are shining, not you. Second is, hire people who are more competent than you. Trust me, hire people. One of my colleagues, Reena, is here. She has been deputy CFO at PDS. She was my second hire when during COVID times we got the office opened up. She's super competent in finance. Trust me, to pick her brain. And I very humbly call her Hero Honda. Fill it, shut it, forget it. It'll keep running. You don't really have to bother. That's the kind of resource. So you have to make a choice to be surrounded by Arena, surrounded by somebody in HR called Prakar, who know the job much better than you. I am not the HR expert. I'm not the finance expert. I'm not the IT expert. They are the experts. So you just enable them, do the job. You just try and get the best out of them. And one case in point is conflict. Okay, let's take one example, on conflict. There are two partners out of the 40. One is a German partner in Düsseldorf, and one is a Muslim partner, Ifti Bhai, in Dhaka. झगड़ा चल रहा है इफ्ती भाई के साथ और राजीव के साथ. किसका झगड़ा चल रहा है? पलक का, हमारे फाउंडर का. यार ये दोनों सुनते नहीं हैं. Why don't these two guys listen to us? They don't fall in line. I'm the majority shareholder. Why do these guys don't fall in line? Sanjay, we need to part ways with them. Then you start thinking, what is this? What is the root cause of this jagadabaji? Why is this happening? Sorry, I'm just checking on time. Yeah. Then you go to Rajiv, you request me to chal Düsseldorf chalte hain. And then we go to Rajiv's place for dinner on a Sunday evening. It's a 3-4 hours dinner. Rajiv feels happy. Somebody has come all the way from Bombay to actually solve something that is not going well. And since it is at his home, the warmth is maintained. It is over 4 hours, with his partner, with my wife, and we're discussing. Rajiv start opening up. यार धंधा मैं लेके आता हूँ यार. $140 million का top line है. What is the value addition you guys bring? And that relationship in Germany is my relationship. PDS is only a shareholder. So why should I, comply with your requirements of information, data, etc. ठीक है, सुन लिया राजीव की बात. तो राजीव आपको कुछ नहीं करना. Would you please say yes to me in terms of whatever information you are giving? Okay, Sanjay, that I am willing to give, etc., etc. And I go back to Palak in London after that. I said, Palak, Rajiv को अपना काम करने देते हैं. Let him do his job. I think he is doing $140 million. He has a path to do $250 million. Palak get excited. Oh, $250 million. And Rajiv will give everything that you asked him to give. ये तो मैंने झूठ बोला पलक से कि Rajiv will give everything that you asked him to. Rajiv ने तो हाँ नहीं बोली. He never said that I will share everything. So this was one conflict. Then I went to Ifti Bhai is saying in Dhaka, I'm the most profitable business. 5% profit on sales I make. You guys make 2% on an average. I want my share to go up. My equity share to go up. And then Palak says he makes 5% because of we only, kind of allowed him to come to this stage. How can I allow him to raise his equity? So I said, Ifti Bhai, would you like to come to Bombay? So he's saying Sanjay is engaging into conversations. So he decided to come to her. I said, Ifti Bhai, akele nahi aana, aapko bhabhi ko saath leke aana hai. So, and this personal angle matters. This time that you take out in the evening to spend with your partner and with the family to try and understand each other, that respect, that softness, that warmth, all these things are important. And by chance, Meeti had to travel that moment of time. So his wife landed and my wife had to travel. So then, she told me that Sanjay, inko wo hamari jeweler friend hai, wahan leke jate hain. So I took, I'm a little bit digressing, but what I'm trying to tell you is take care of the softer aspects. So how did I manage conflict with Rajiv? How did I manage conflict with, Ifti Bhai? I went to my CIO, the IT expert. I told him, how much time do I have? 15 minutes, okay. I told Rajiv, you please keep doing. I asked my CIO, Saurabh, yaar Rajiv se jo bhi information aa raha hai na, you write a simple customized application on top of it so that it converts whatever he is giving to a format in which my board want to see. आपको लगेगा संजय ये तो बड़ी सिंपल चीज़ है, इसमें तुमने क्या किया? But trust me, every conflict has a small human angle wherein you got to meet the individual, you got to listen what is his pain point, you go to an IT expert, you got to solve for it. हो गया. अब Ifti Bhai बोल रहे हैं 5% मैं profit बनाता हूँ. Then I go to my board. I says that why are we not agreeing to it? Because we enabled him to do 5%. I said okay. What happens if Ifti Bhai makes 7%? संजय क्या बोल रहा है, कहाँ से प्रॉफिट बनेंगे 7% टू सेल्स? I thought, what happens if he makes? Okay, then you allow his shareholding to increase. Then I went to Ifti Bhai. I said, Ifti Bhai, you're doing a wonderful job. We can actually make 7%. And if you make 7%, your shareholding would go from 40 to 45%. Really, Sanjay? I said, yes. He got excited as well. He's doing 8% right now. So these are some numbers for you to see that I'll not bore you. I think result of all of this is turnover doubled over the last 5 years or so. The margins of the company went up by 4%, and the profit of the company are 4 times what they were 4 years back. You see that FY26 profit, I have 178, 135. I've broken it up in 2 parts. We'll come back to that. But the message here is that company doubled, profit went up 4 times. ये तो फेरी टेल था संजय. इसमें क्या था? Everybody, this is. I wish it was just like, then the story is over. Then they lived happily thereafter, etc. And you also feel अभी सब सही है यार. 3-3.5 साल हो गए. I'm set in my job. Company is doing well. I've earned my respect. Partners listen to me, etc., etc. And one fine day you wake up in the morning, you get a call from your head of HR. Sanjay, there's a major crisis in Sri Lanka. Because of the political unrest, people are on the roads, and our factories are affected by this. So our 100 million sales that come from Sri Lanka are impacted. Okay? So therefore, as a CEO, you will get those shocker news. You just listen to it. Oh, I have my walk at 7 o'clock in the morning. The call came at 6:45. You actually go for a walk. You don't get disturbed with it. You just go for a walk. Okay, fine. 6 more months have passed, and then somebody says, there is a China plus 1. America is saying, we will not buy from China, we will go to other geographies. You buy 10% of your output from China. What do you do now? Everything, I have 60 partner factories in China. That goes for a toss as well. Another 8-9 months have passed. There is political unrest in Bangladesh. A lot of us are aware of, because of the change in the leadership that happened as well. You know what happened in that unrest? Two of my factories got impacted. That Ifti Bhai's office, Glider, that's the company that is under PDS, was on the main road near airport in Bangladesh. It was badly ransacked. Badly ransacked. Just short of being burnt, everybody went inside and everything was ransacked. So therefore, be prepared. Then after 6 months, you get a news there is earthquake in Turkey at two places, and one of the places where you have most of your factories running, etc. in Turkey. So my friends, it's never a smooth journey. It's always a bump. And as a result, structurally, when you are organizing your company, we made sure that now we will buy 10% from Sri Lanka, 10% from China, I will buy 40% from Bangladesh, I'll go to Egypt, I'll buy from there, I'll go to Latin America, I'll buy from there. I'm diversifying my risk. You cannot fight with natural calamities. But I decided to go for a walk. I told you 6:45 the news came that there is this crisis in Sri Lanka, and you just go for your walk, because in that moment when there is an emotional outburst that has happened, your thinking tend to lose objectivity. You actually go down, you take a walk on your podium, you allow sanity to prevail, and the first call that you gave at 8 o'clock to your HR head, what about my employees? Has anybody got impacted? He says the food and water supply chain has got impacted. I said, please restore it immediately. We will run rehabilitation center for our employees, for the general people in Sri Lanka. We will announce a package for the rehabilitation. People come first. And that is the action that we took. Because at the end of the day, who's going to fix it? Is people on the ground. With whose help you will fix it is the government of Sri Lanka. So therefore, that 45-minute walk tell you that take it easy, we'll fix it. So that's another humble learning, that you really don't allow you to get deterred by whatever is happening. So that's what I wanted to write. The storms keep coming, but you keep going. And now you will see in the next few days, there is Bharat Tex, India's largest textile exhibition that is coming up. And Government of India in the last 1 year has signed free trade agreement with UK, free trade agreement with EU. That means the textile exports from India to Europe and UK have become really, really remunerative. Therefore, how do you make the most of it? You actually go to Tirupur and acquire a company, which is what we did. I'm not in the business of manufacturing, but to demonstrate my skin in the game, I actually just go and buy a company. What am I trying to refer to? The yesterday style, you have to keep evolving on it. You may decide to source everything from Bangladesh because that is cheapest, but the global dynamics are making you to source from different countries. You felt garments from India is not the best thing to do, but the government signing the free trade agreements make you feel that I need to own a factory in India as well. And now comes the classical issue that goes on. You feel that you've come a long way 4 years back in institutionalizing your company. Everything is all set, process driven. But now the board, the promoters feel we need to gun for more growth. We need to gun for more growth. We need to invest more, But then you have to find a balance. How do you find a balance? I told you I will come back to this graph again. The profit of the company has gone 4 times. To my friends at the back, in financial year 20, we made 81 crores of profit. In financial year 26, we could have made 323 crores of profit, but we did not make 323. We actually made 178 crores of profit. Our profit went up 2 times, not 4 times, because we invested 135 crores into growth. The growth, investment in growth is very important. Otherwise, you really want to grow. But how much to invest? How much to invest is a constant fight that goes on. And why does it become important? It's an interesting slide. This is my scorecard. This is my scorecard. I told you in the first instance, I started building C-suite executives. I started getting board of directors. Every 6 months, I started going to investors, sharing with them. When I joined in 2020, the market cap of PDS was 700 crores. Just about 700 crores. Till about 2 years back, the market cap of PDS was at the peak of 8,200 crores. It went up 11 times. But we then decided to invest quite a lot from our earnings. And as a result, the market cap has come down to 5,150 crores. It is still 7 times up from where I started, but it is down from the peak of 11 to at least 7. So therefore, if you feel that the journey of a CEO is kind of a linear journey, that goes on smooth, no. It actually is that it'll go up. You will somewhere lose your power of influencing the people who decide on the investment, and as a result, your investors feel you're taking too much of risk, so they hammer you down and you lose your market cap. They are not losing faith in you. They still are at 5,150, but they're not happy. I mean, their happiness or lack of happiness could be justifiable or could be missing on, what right things we are trying to do. But this is where it is. So what happens? I will not give up. I mean, I know I tasted 11 times the market cap. I am not going to give up. And in the EQs I mentioned, one of the emotional quotient was conflict. There was one word written there called listening. And I want to go back to listening. My CFO and Reena, my deputy CFO, that time told me, Sanjay, we're not doing right things. We're not doing, sir, I was listening. We're not doing right. We are over-investing. We are having too many loss-making businesses. Our corporate costs have gone up. That was February of last year. Nidhi and I had gone to Scandinavia holiday, and when I came back, she held me and said, we're not doing well. We are loss-making businesses. Our debt has gone up. So what do? You sit alone, for a few days. You work out a 6-point agenda. You take a flight to London. You meet your promoters, and you say, I have a 6-point agenda, and I'm trying to implement that. Do I have your blessings? You're blessed. You take a flight back. You actually sit alone in the morning, and you have tears in your eyes. And why, I have tears in my eyes? Because next day, I have to fire. I have to let go my head of HR. I have to let go my head of IT. I have to let go my general counsel. I have to let go my country manager of Bangladesh. I have to shut down 3 businesses. I have to cut down my corporate cost by 25%. Why do I have to do that? Because I want to call up my 40 partners and say, guys, we have invested into loss-making businesses. Cut them down. Why should we listen to you, Sanjay Jain? I am cutting my cost down now. You have to lead by example. And when you have to let go people, and here it was not a kind of ad hoc decision. I mean, executives also need to be relevant, always seen that they are adding value to the company. They lost their relevance, all my C-suite executives. And as a result, the functions did not go, people had to part ways. We elevated the next level of people to the first level. In the last 1 year, we have shut down 3 loss-making businesses. My debt has again reduced by 50% in the last 1 year. And all my top-level executives are replaced by the next young generation. My corporate costs are down 25%. But in the coming few quarters, hopefully what I lost as a market cap from 8,000 to 5,100, it will actually bounce back. But I'm not giving up in this moment that, whatever difficulties are we facing. So therefore, my friends, I wish it was linear. I wish the yesterday's style was still working. I told you to keep reinvesting, keep reinventing yourself. So the last 2 concluding slides is that The CEO that everyone sees is somebody who's, winning investor confidence, is commanding the boardroom, with a very effective, influential speech. Tomorrow I have a board meeting in Gurgaon. So, Shirley, my colleague, is here. Last 2 days we've been working on a board deck to try and influence the board with the board deck, etc. And we're talking about how we are going to double the company in the next 4 years again. But there is something below that I would like you to be, you have to take your tough calls. I told you that you had to come and cut costs by 25%. You have to decide to shut your loss-making businesses, etc. And I did not take any pay increase for 2 consecutive years. How can you expect your colleagues, that guys, no, it was not freeze for pay increase for all the employees. Everybody got the minimum inflation-led threshold applicable to a given geography. But if you are a CEO, you better lead by example. And one thing I always tell my HR, I have 22 countries payroll that need to be paid off. I should be the last one who get paid. Confirm to me that every employee in every country has been paid off. Then I will get my credit in my account, because people keep an eye on it. They would lose trust in you. So therefore, tough calls. You're always on. You sleep, but I sleep like a baby. I sleep 5-6 hours, not more than that. But you have to be always on. There is some country who's up and running. Some call you will get. You're standing alone. You were told in February last year we're not doing well. And debt has again gone up, loss-making businesses. I told you for a few days, I allowed myself to be alone. I worked on a 6-point agenda. So you are alone as a CEO. Your family pays a lot of cost. You can't do this alone. Your wife let go her career. Your daughter changed 8 schools on her career. Your son says, I'm with you guys. So unless until your family is with you, you can never do this alone. They give you that emotional strength, and I know that before I go to bed 11:30, half an hour download my wife takes from me as to what is happening in the office. She gets bored, but she listens to me. They always say you're alone at the top. The CEO is always alone at the top. Thankfully, officially I'm alone. Unofficially, I'm not alone. I have somebody with whom I can confide with that this is what is happening. Mental strength. Somebody asked me a question, Sanjay, what happens if you get confronted with a problem, that you feel you don't have a solution? And my immediate answer, trust me, I never crafted that answer, was I go home and sleep. I go home and sleep because the problem is out there. You can't do anything about it. The emotion has been created around the problem. Your objective ability has got influence, so therefore in that moment you can't take a decision. You go home, you sleep, you wake up in the morning devoid of emotions. The solution is around you only, and you make a decision. So therefore that is it. And the last is physical discipline. I think you can't not have an hour wherein you actually not devoting time on your physical strength, on your bit of emotional strength. You got to keep running, you got to keep going. So these are the few things, the iceberg below the water, that they don't teach you at MBA school. And while I'm leaving you with a closing slide on the screen, I got inspired to recite a few lines from Shri Harivansh Rai Bachchan's poem, which I felt, in 4-5 lines, tend to describe the life of a CEO. It says, and it is Hindi, so I wish most of you can make out of it. असफलता एक चुनौती है. असफलता, the lack of success, एक चुनौती है. इसे स्वीकार करो. Failure, is something that will daunt you. Please accept it. असफलता एक चुनौती है, इसे स्वीकार करो. क्या कमी रह गई है, उसे देखो और सुधार करो. What do you think that you could have done better as a CEO? उसे देखो और सुधार करो. जब तक ना सफल हो, नींद और चैन को त्यागो तुम। जब तक ना सफल हो नींद और चैन को त्यागो तुम, संघर्ष का मैदान छोड़कर मत भागो तुम। आई विश देवर शॉर्टकट्स, जब तक ना सफल हो नींद और चैन को त्यागो तुम, संघर्ष का मैदान छोड़कर मत भागो तुम। कुछ किए बिना जय जयकार नहीं होती, कुछ किए बिना जय जयकार नहीं होती। हरिवंश राय बच्चन ने कहा है, कोशिश करने वालों की कभी भी हार नहीं होती। थैंक यू।